Well, she has been hailed as a gifted writer, but some of our book club members would disagree. Everybody's sort of divided down the middle. This month's book is The Umbrella Tree by Mary Stanley, and Pulling No Punches are the members of the Tramore Book Club. But before we meet them in person, let's see them in action.
My name is Mary Carberry and I work for the Waterford County Library Service, and I'm based here in Tramore Library along with 3 other staff members. Our first book club started in July 2002, and there was such interest after that we ended up forming 2 groups, and now in 2010 we currently have 5 book groups based in the library. The group starts at 11-ish and they come along and we have a cup of tea or coffee, biscuits, cake, although everyone has their resolutions at the moment, so we're being good. Normally we'll read 2 books for the month for the next meeting. We mark the books out of 10. It was a tip that we picked up at the Ennis Book Club Festival last year. We find that even the marks that we award to them at the book club are a good guideline for recommending books to our other borrowers that come into the library on a day-to-day basis.
I just love books, and I had 6 children, so I didn't have much time to read in those days, but now I'm reading 2 or 3 books a week. The good thing about the book club is that you get to read, you're told what to read, and you read books that you mightn't have read before.
If you read the book yourself at home, you're not going to discuss how things were maybe in the 50s or 40s, or you know, how women or men behave, or how different characters behave. It's great to be able to be a little bit critical and feel safe to do that. So I feel that the group gives you that. It gives you that freedom to give your honest opinion, I feel. So in that sense, we're very lucky to have it. I'd recommend a book club to anybody of any age.
They're all very easy to get on with, and they're all different ages, which is great. And Tramore is so small that it's nice to meet them on the street, you know, another face to talk to.
It's very enjoyable. I mean, I've always loved books and reading, so to be able to come to work and talk about books all day and discuss it with people is an absolute pleasure.
And they're all here with us. We have Anna and Mary and Mary, and we have Dick Warner, broadcaster that you'll all recognise, an environmentalist. So I'm going to start with you, Dick, because you've all read the book as well. Could you give everybody the story?
Well, you could call it a fictional memoir, because it's a woman telling the story of her life. Her name's Helena Wolfe, and she's born and reared in Kenya. And she has a very happy childhood there, really, with her beloved older brother, Horace. Although she doesn't get very much affection from her parents. And then something terrible happens to Horace, and I'm not going to tell you what it is, because I don't want to actually spoil the book for people who haven't read it. And shortly afterwards, she's sent to Ireland, to Dublin, to go to Trinity. And while she's an undergraduate at Trinity, she falls in love with a man and marries him, and they go off and live in County Wicklow. And they live quite a quiet, ordinary life for some time, and then suddenly strange things happen in her life. There are revelations about her past, about her ancestry, which I'm not going to tell you about either. And there's also a terrible incident.
Yeah.
And
the relationship with the neighbour as well.
There's a lot of interaction with a neighbour, an Italian woman whose nickname is Conti. I think she's Carolina del Fiore is her real name. And all these things happen, and eventually Helena ends up getting quite badly injured, and she goes back to Kenya. And because of the revelations that I didn't tell you about, she gets reconciled with her parents, and she dies happily underneath the umbrella tree, which is the title of the novel. Which
is a very important part of the novel and the story that carries through. Now, everybody is divided on this. Who liked it?
I liked it.
Anna, you loved it.
I loved it. I loved it because of the descriptions of Africa.
Yes, and of Kenya. They were very magical.
Yeah, and her, I loved especially her first days in Trinity, describing the campus and the bursary, or the bursary, is it?
The buttery.
The
Buttery.
The buttery.
The pub, basically.
The pub, yeah, exactly. And it really made me feel I'd love to have gone there.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
So for you, it was very visual, and the story was told very beautifully.
Very beautifully.
Okay. Does anybody agree? How do
Well,
you?
I did go to Trinity, and I agreed that those scenes were very good. But I've also been to Kenya a lot of times, and some of the Kenya bits annoyed me because the research was very bad. There are
Really?
mistakes in it. For example, she's supposed to live on a coffee farm, but it's set in a sort of savanna with giraffes and elephants, and you can only grow coffee very high up the mountains in Kenya. And she also mentions the civil war in Kenya at one point, and there never was a civil war in Kenya.
And
stuff like
baboons.
that
Somebody
annoyed
mentioned
me.
baboons.
Yes, yes.
See, I wouldn't know any of that. I loved the whole. I was brought away on a beautiful trip when she was talking about Kenya. I loved the relationships that she set up between the neighbour.
I thought it was unbelievable.
What?
A bit too predictable.
Okay.
It came very early in the book that I had it sussed that Conti was related to her. I won't say how.
Oh, you're giving
in
away
case
the
I
secret.
spoil it. Oh yeah, I gave away the secret. I gave away the secret.
So you
I
sussed
just
it
found
early on.
I found some of it unbelievable.
Okay.
Unbelievable. Even parts about her and Conti when they were pregnant and they were laying on the bed like two teenagers discussing. These were two adults, two grown women having their babies, you know, and they were pregnant and they were discussing things on a bed like two teenagers were.
Yeah.
I found that
You did that.
unbelievable.
Okay.
Yes.
I was talking to somebody else and they said they found it a very nice, gentle read, that the relationships were lovely, gentle, that in itself carried the book. Mary,
It was a gentle read, but I just thought the pace was very uneven. I enjoyed the first 4 or 5 chapters setting the scene, the friendship starting, and then I just thought it went very flat. And I think the big thing for me was that it was told in the first person by Helena, so it was all Helena's opinions. If her relationships with people, she told you how the other people were feeling and thinking and reacting. And I just thought that kind of clouded it a bit for me.
okay. And what did you think about the coincidence? Because the concept of coincidences that are, you know, come out of nowhere is a big theme of the book.
Yeah, it is.
How did that sit with you? How did it sit with you, Dick?
Well, you mentioned that it was unrealistic in
Yes,
bits.
unrealistic.
And to be fair, I don't think Mary Stanley was trying to be realistic. I think there are elements of magical realism in this, like Isabel Allende and writers like that, where magic things do happen and there are strange coincidences.
Okay.
And I think you have to allow her that
Well, maybe they find it difficult because it was set in such an ordinary life. Like the Dublin
Yes.
life was so regular, it was suburban, it was so regular. And
Yes.
then there's the magic of Kenya, and then these coincidences are just out
Yes,
of the blue.
they're out of
They're
the blue.
quite
They're not
astronomical.
real. Yes, yeah. And I was thinking back to, I had children in the 80s. I certainly wasn't lying on a bed discussing, you know, I know you're thinking of your own real experience and you're thinking, oh, you know, I'm reading this is pure fiction.
Yeah.
Do you know, but some of it was a bit too predictable, I just thought.
Anna, the final word to you.
Final word. The funniest bit I thought was where Alice asks Helena, "What's this about heaven? What's that place?" And she said, "Well," she said, "it's a place where they store dead bodies." Yeah. And I felt that that's more like what a child would answer rather
Yes,
than adults.
yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Very good, very good. Okay, so would you recommend it?
good read, but I'd borrow it rather than buy it.
Buy it.
Okay, okay, but good read.
A light read on a sitting by a pool.
Windy
maybe, or
day.
that you could put it down, yeah.
Do I need to ask you, Mary?
I'm afraid not.
Okay, there's a no.
Sorry.
And Anna, absolutely,
No, I loved
definitely, I can
And
imagine.
I loved it.
But there you go. You have to make up your own opinion because everybody's split on the show for it. So we're going to move on to the next book. That was the Umbrella Tree. You'll find all the details on our website. Tomorrow we're moving on to the next book club, and you can find out what you're going to vote for February.